Kim Turner has experience in law enforcement, horse training, and even hockey. But what does Kim know about septic pumping? At first, nothing. But not afraid to get down and dirty, pretty quickly, she found success.
The growth was going so much I needed help. I couldn't keep up with it by myself.
Now, with 2 full-time employees and several shiny new trucks, Kim takes aim at 4 million gallons and 15,000 TikTok followers. Listen in. Take me back to how you got into this business at all. I mean, to be completely honest, this is typically not a business you see, sadly, women in.
Yep.
Which is why this is going to be fun for us.
Awesome.
What led you down this path?
So I was divorced, living the single mom life, trying to figure out where I wanted to go next. And I was on Tinder of all things and met my now husband, who is a full-time real estate agent in our valley. And he said, he's like, you know what? If I helped invest in some septic trucks, do you want to start a business?
So as a realtor, he recognized that maybe there was a need there because
Yes.
there's septic inspections and things like that going on on sale transfer.
Exactly. So, being here in our valley, he realized that we needed something different. There's already 3 or 4 well-established pumping companies here in the Mount Washington Valley. And we started discussing it and hashing it out. And I knew nothing about septics. I did not know where our poop went. I had never driven a big truck. I knew nothing 4 years ago.
So what kind of, this is typically not an easy business to just get into because there's licensing involved. To your point, you had never driven a truck, so there's a CDL involved.
Yep.
That's kind of a barrier to entry for a lot of people. How did you get past those types of things right off the bat?
I am a go-getter. And if I make a decision that I am going to do anything, I put 5 trillion% in. So he said he'd help me with financing the trucks. Now, again, we're just dating. He's not even my husband yet. We're just dating. I went and got my CDL. We got a truck. I got my septic inspector's license for here in the state of New Hampshire. And I just started researching and studying. And there is a gentleman here who's a good 70, 75 years old. He took me under his wing and he started showing me and just making me do the work myself. And yeah, I just went for it. And that's usually how I live my life.
You had a good mentor. So you had a mentor in the business.
Yep, exactly.
How long, what is this time frame from start to finish, from suggestion, hey, why don't you do this, until you were doing this on your own? What kind of time frame are we talking here?
6 months.
Oh, wow. You are a go-getter.
Yep.
So again, to go backward, you're growing up. Let's specify, where exactly are you located? Because you said the Washington Valley.
The Mount Washington Valley. So I'm located in northern New Hampshire. I'm about 20
That's
minutes.
what I wanted you to say, to clarify that.
Yeah.
Because when you say the Mount Washington Valley, the first thing everyone wants to do is go to Washington State, but it's actually in New Hampshire.
It's actually northern New Hampshire. Yep. We look every day when I pump. I get to see the beautiful mountain right there in my view. It's a beautiful place. So yeah, I'm in Conway, New Hampshire.
Did you grow up in New Hampshire?
I was born in Rhode Island. And my parents moved us up here when I was about 8 or 9. So I've been here since I was about 8 or 9 years old.
So that's your home turf.
Yeah.
So when you were a little kid growing up in New Hampshire, and in 6th grade, they tell you, okay, write the essay. What do you want to be when you grow up? And you put down a septic pumper.
This was not in anything.
You didn't. So what did you put down? Where did this journey with you start? What was your dream job when you were a kid?
I showed horses professionally. So I wanted to be a vet. That was my dream job.
And you never did. Again, when we're kids, I remember, I think I said I wanted to be a physical education teacher. And now in hindsight, I'm glad I'm not. Yep. So you never did go that veterinarian route though?
I didn't. Nope. Some stuff happened, 18, 19 years old, that didn't allow me to go to college. So that's something I'm pursuing now. I'm working on my bachelor's degree in forensic psychology now. So, because I don't have enough time in my day. This was not anything I ever really thought. For a while there, I wanted to get into kinesiology and sports medicine. I was a police officer for a short period of time. So I never really knew my path, but going into the male dominated business, I wasn't afraid because I was a police officer for 7 years. And that's, again, a male dominated career.
Yeah, definitely another male dominated career. And also you interact with so many people, good and bad,
Yeah.
that I'm sure that this was, and we'll get to eventually your social media, which in my opinion is kind of what makes you unique. But
Thank you.
you were able to probably interact with people and realize how to make a situation better, you
Yeah.
know. And a lot of what septic pumping can be, and it sounds crazy, is just letting people understand what's going on. I'm sure a lot of it is just you don't have to talk to anybody, but somebody has a failed system, that's kind of a big deal, you know. So all of
Huge.
that probably helped you out a little bit.
Yeah.
When
And
did you like what year did you start the business?
so the idea kind of came to be like January 21. We started kind of hashing over, and I pumped my first septic tank in May of 21.
So you're 3.5, 4 years old at this point.
Yeah.
So in that first year, uh, like how did you said you got your then boyfriend
Yep.
gave you a loan to go get a truck.
Yep.
Did you buy a used truck locally? Did you go to a new manufacturer, or did your mentor show you like, okay, this is what you got to look for?
Yep. So Walter, who was my mentor, he didn't even pump. He just did inspections. So we did our research and we ended up going with a used truck out of National Truck Center in Miami. And neither one of us had our CDLs. So we hired someone. We just kind of, okay, let's do this. We hired someone to drive it north for us. That was an adventure all within itself, because it had something happen, and then he had to stay at a hotel because he was tired, and it eventually got here.
Okay. So
So,
so you get that first truck here,
yep.
and at that point, had you already established like a business name, and what was your strategy for growing a client list, so to speak? You had somebody who could give you a few ins
Yep.
in your now husband,
Yep.
but I mean, you're starting from scratch. How are you getting business?
So part of my business plan was I was going to do septic differently. I had done a lot of research, especially about our local pumpers, and no one did anything digitally. It was all in their back of their head in a filing cabinet, pen and paper. So I wanted a digital program. I wanted to make sure I took photos every time I went to a customer's place. I started hitting up realtors, first stop, realtors' offices. Hey, this is who I am. This is what I'm doing. And just kind of being out there and talking to people, friends, family. Some of it was one of our first jobs was a campground. He had just bought it, and he didn't know where any of the septics were. So I just went in and started looking for septics and just started pumping so I could
So
get
even
exposure.
somebody new, that's interesting that you say that, because somebody new to this business, locating a septic tank, sure you can go get a probe and you can start,
Yeah.
but you're talking at a campground, so there's probably dozens of them.
Yep. I got plans that I'd never seen in my life. And
So
I
how
just,
did you do? I know you probably say you self-taught, but you had to kind of get an idea somewhere. Were you jumping on YouTube? Were you reading trade journals, talking to other pumpers? How were you figuring this out? Are you attending North America's premier wastewater event? The Wet Show, taking place February 18th to the 20th in Indianapolis, Indiana, features an expansive expo hall, showcases new products and services, provides networking opportunities with peers, and sessions for continuing education hours with industry-leading experts. Register now to attend Wet Show at wetshow.com. That's WWETTSHOW.com.
I just started reading. Really just started reading, and that's just how I've kind of lived my whole life. I find something and I'm like, I'm gonna figure this out. I wasn't even really a big YouTube person. I just started Googling. Poor Pumper Society, he had just kind of gotten popular on the internet. So I watched him some, and just, yeah, I liked Pumper Nation on Facebook, and I just read, learned, took notes. The other pumpers in our area, aren't always keen to someone else coming in. So I didn't really ask
No.
them much.
That's what's tough about this business, is you're not going to go down to the local coffee shop and swap stories
Yeah.
with other pumpers.
Yeah, that's just not how it works.
No.
So yeah, I just studied, and I literally would go down in septic so I could see what the baffles looked like. And I got stuck a number of times, and I was just hands-on. And so Walter, who was my mentor for like septic inspections and what a tank is and this, that, and the other, he joked to my boyfriend at the time and said, I don't know if Kim is cut out for this, because I'd never done it. And he saw me lugging some roots and pulling them out of a tank, and I was upside down and just knee deep in poop. And he's like, she's fine. She's got this.
She'll be fine.
She'll be fine.
So year one,
Yep.
were you profitable or were you just paying the bills?
We were just barely paying the bills. Yep. Just
Were
barely paying the bills.
were you scared? Or were
Petrified.
you thinking this is going to be okay?
Petrified every day. Because I just didn't know. I'd never owned anything like this, run equipment like this. We had a goal of 12 tanks a week. Just be out there for 12 tanks a week. That's all I needed.
And how long did it take you to hit that 12 tanks a week?
Started in May, so we were probably September, October.
You were hitting
So-
12. I would
Yeah.
imagine in your area that septic service has to be extremely cyclical.
Yeah, there's a lot going
It's
on
probably
here.
like April through October.
Pretty much. And so like we've had snow already this year. So
Yep.
we've gone from 60 to 0 instantly. We barely have anything going on.
So did you know that
No,
coming into the business that everything was basically going to cease in let's call it October?
no idea. No clue.
So I mean that's another thing that you don't know until you know.
Yeah. And it was just me. So I wasn't worried about it. Like I didn't have employees yet. So, and I had my now husband there to support me, to get me through the winter. So,
Now that revenue stops,
yep.
you still have a truck payment because I'm assuming you probably financed that or
Well, kicker of it is in October of 21, I was in a motor vehicle accident with the truck. Someone stopped short in front of me and I flipped the truck,
ooh,
totaling it.
and you were fine, obviously, because you're sitting here.
I had a big concussion, massive concussion. Had to lay low for a little while, but
I guess that's a question I have right off the bat. So
Yeah.
you know nothing about the business, okay?
Yep.
Who's telling you what size truck to buy?
my husband and boyfriend and I were just researching.
So what size truck did you buy?
We ended up with a 2,000 gallon truck. So you could get a
Did you
couple
find
things in
that to
it
be a tweener, or how long did it take you to figure out that maybe wasn't sized right?
instantly, because I could only get like maybe two
One and a
tanks on
half.
me.
That's exactly what I was just
Yeah.
going to say. One and a
So-
half.
My road time was a lot. I was behind the wheel a lot more than I wanted to be. That was a pretty quick, like, I don't like this.
So not to say that, was this perhaps a blessing in disguise that you totaled that truck?
Totally. 100%. And we are very lucky because we realized very quickly we didn't like this truck. It wasn't the truck for us. We had already contacted National Truck Center for another truck. So we already had a different truck being made
Yeah, a
for us.
2,000 gallon truck is kind of a specialty truck, so I
Yeah.
assume you're probably running something a little bit bigger now.
Yes. So the truck we ended up getting, we actually flew to Miami, not knowing if I could drive because I wasn't even driving our pickup yet because my vision was still all messed up and I was not sure if I could get behind the wheel again. It was traumatic. And so we got to about North Carolina. We ended up with a 4,000 gallon, still used truck. Got to about North Carolina. I'm like, I can do this. I got this. I can drive this truck. And I sat there with my soda and pizza and cried for a solid hour.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know if I can do this, but I did. I got over it.
So now you've got, what year is this when you said the accident was in 21, which
21.
is basically the year you started.
Yep.
So later in 21, you've got this larger truck, which should make you more efficient come spring.
Yep.
Because you're banking. Well, I guess I don't know when the accident was. I'm assuming it was in the fall of 21.
October of 21. And we brought home the next truck, December of 21. So we had the winter to kind of get used to it. You know what I mean? Not a lot going on.
Yeah, you could do you're still doing a little bit of pumping in the winter, so you
Yep.
could drive the new truck around. And so you've got your new truck now, which is obviously is going to let you do probably 3 runs now.
It was a 4,000 gallon tank.
Yeah, you can usually do like 3, maybe 4 systems in that tank.
Yeah.
And so you learned that real quickly right off the bat. So you're coming into 2022, you got your newer and bigger truck.
Yep.
Like right off the bat, is business better in the spring than you had expected, or
Yes.
are you already promoting heavily? What are you using for promotion? How are you advertising your business at this point?
So newspaper ads, a lot of newspaper ads. And again, talking to realtors, just word of mouth, getting myself out there. I really hadn't touched on my social media yet.
That's where I was going.
Yep.
So when do you launch your social media channels?
It was later that summer that
So
I kind of
summer of 22.
22. Yep. Started promoting some social media, more just Facebook, because I really didn't know what I was doing, had no idea.
Mhm.
So started that, a lot of realtors, just a lot of word of mouth. And I really wanted to start educating people. Like I really made a point to start educating. It wasn't just, we want to pump your tank. I want to make sure you understand. So we really trying to transform into just a new job for Kim of educating our community about septics.
So So you took the education angle, and
Yep.
at that point you were just primarily focused on Facebook. Are you just making posts, or do you start doing video right off the bat? Or
Posts mostly.
okay,
And
and at
getting,
that point you have 0 followers.
yeah. Yeah.
Are you doing any type of paid promotion to your local region, or are you just going organic Facebook?
Nope. I'll boost my Facebook. Yep. On like the weekends when our second homeowners are up here.
Even then,
Yep.
right off the bat?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. $20. Nothing crazy.
Right. But you can pick that geographically. So I don't want to say you're not wasting the money, but you're not wasting the money like you're trying to get septic jobs in Texas. You can
Exactly.
pick that 50-mile radius.
Yep.
Speaking of
Exactly.
that, what type of radius are you doing?
We've got about a 30-mile radius.
Okay.
So
So
there's
about
a
a
lot.
30-mile radius. That's not
Yeah.
too far. And what does disposal look like there? Are you taking that to a private treatment center or a public treatment center?
Yep. We have the North Conway Water Precinct, which does the water and does, because we do have city sewer here.
Right.
But that's where we drop off our waste.
So is that what keeps your 30-mile radius, or what's stopping you from going further?
I think this year, 2025, is going to bring a little bit more expansion. It's I'm trying to grow the business so it's not so fast and so big, too quick for me. Because again, I'm one person now with 2 employees, and another truck coming. So I'm trying to manage everything I've got going on.
So do you have 3 trucks now or 2 trucks?
So we now have because after the truck, the 4,000-gallon truck, I decided I didn't like it. We put it up for sale. I talked to National Truck Center again, got a brand new Mack 2024 5,000-gallon truck that we picked up at the wet show 2 years ago. We also have a 2024 Ford 600 with a 1,400-gallon tank with 4-wheel drive.
I'll let you get into some of those little cabins that are in or outhouses or whatever.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. And it's 1,000 under CDL, so I'm using it as my training vehicle.
Okay.
And in February, we are picking up our 2026 Mack Granite 5,000-gallon truck. And then we have a dump truck because we started doing dry wells. And then our utility truck.
Well, let's go backward a little bit here.
Yeah.
I think I got ahead of myself asking you questions here. So you had gone from had an accident, had the wrong truck, got what you thought was the right truck. It's all still just you. You're still trying to figure this out.
Yep.
At what point did you hit that like upward climb where you're like, holy cow, this is going really well. I need to hire my first employee?
Later, June, July of 2022.
So almost immediately, a year after you started.
Yeah. Yep. So our growth rate from 2021 to my 2022 gallon numbers, I went from 300,000 gallons in 21, my first year, to 900,000 gallons in 22.
Good for you. Almost 1 million gallons in year 1.
Yeah. Year 2.
Yeah. Year 2.
Yeah.
Sorry. After
No, it's okay. It's okay. So yeah, we had the growth was going so much. I needed help. I couldn't keep up with it by myself.
So even that as a newbie, how do you go find that person?
We just started talking to friends and family who wants to come get paid really well, have fun, work with Kim. You're going to get shitty. You're going to get dirty. There are going to be some great days. There are going to be some rough days. The business is growing, and we just started talking to friends, and Jeff came along.
So you've got 1 employee now in the summer of 22.
Yep.
And now you have a third because it's 2 plus you, correct?
Yep.
So when does the third one come into play?
Ben came on April of 24 this year.
So you were able to go another 2 years before you needed a third person.
Yep.
Are you willing to share what kind of gallons you're doing now?
Yeah. So year 3, we did 1.7 million. And this year we have hit 2.
Okay. So you're doing 2 million gallons annually with 3 people.
Yeah.
You rattled off, you had a lot of new equipment coming in, which makes me wonder, so is I assume the business is profitable at this point, or is it kind of one of those things where you're just turning everything back into the business and kind of paying your employees well and maybe not taking as good a care as yourself as you want to, or is it a profitable venture at this point?
100%. We're going right back into equipment. It goes right back into the business.
Yeah. So, when you're running that newer equipment, I'm betting pretty early on, you figured out too, that sometimes used equipment is used equipment.
100%. Yep. It was breaking constantly and I was done with it. I was like, I don't have time for this. I need my trucks out moving.
So that was kind of what pushed you to start upgrading your equipment, even
Yep.
at the cost of maybe not supporting yourself to the level that you wanted to or were hoping to.
Yeah, exactly. And it's nice to drive around and, the newer equipment is advertising within itself. I see people in the store and they're like, "Oh my God, I saw your truck." They're like, "We see you everywhere." And it looks good. It's perfect advertisement. And it shows our personality in our business and we're clean.
Your personality is something interesting that you bring up. You have a pretty interesting, like your Facebook following, I would say, it's about right. I think you have
Yeah.
about 700 or 800 followers on Facebook.
Yep.
And then on Instagram, you have like 1,100, 1,200 followers.
Yep.
Then on TikTok, you have just over 10,000 followers on TikTok.
Yep.
So at this point, the question is, when you have 10,000 followers on TikTok, 9,900 of them are probably not local.
Yeah.
And I know that it takes a fair amount of time and effort it actually just, you have to have a self-awareness to know that I should be taping this situation. I should be recording myself.
Yes.
Did you find yourself saying, stop and record this? Or have you always been the type of person like, I'm just going to record myself?
Both. So some I'm like, stop and record this because I'm taking photos anyway with the guys. You know what I mean? So stop and record this. But then, you know what? That is kind of some funny audio. That would be good. Skeptic, change it up, make it funny. And I've always been comical, entertaining.
I can see that. So what's the end game with something like TikTok? My point on the number of followers you had with like 10,000 followers, you're promoting yourself to people who are never going to make your phone ring.
Yep.
Is there like something in the back of your mind that makes that worthwhile?
So yesterday in the grocery store, and now I know I'm hitting some local people because I'm in the grocery store the other day looking for sprinkles to make Christmas cookies. And this lady just pops up and she's like, "I know you." And I was kind of taken back. She's like, "I love your Septique video." So that was a local that it hit, and she's going to call to get her septic pumped.
I would bet that the algorithm for TikTok, and I'm purely speculating on this right now.
Yep.
I wonder if it maybe favors a local, like a region, and I'm not sure if it would or wouldn't.
Yeah.
Do you have that set up as a business account or a personal account? Do you know?
It's a business account.
So I wonder if TikTok, if you're saying you're a business account and TikTok knows where you're located, I would wager that perhaps the TikTok algorithm might force those posts to more locals than they would for an example on a personal account.
Yeah.
Do you know the answer to that?
I don't know the answer to that. Social media is still something I'm wrapping my head around and learning as I go with the hashtags and all that stuff. So it's growing.
Yeah, TikTok's a weird animal too, because you can post a video in your opinion that was clearly not your best. In fact, maybe one of your worst. And then all of a sudden it outperforms anything you've ever posted.
It's crazy. And you think some days you're like, "Oh, this one's going to do great." And it completely falls flat on its face.
Yeah. Your favorite videos have 500 views and your least favorite videos have tens of thousands, is not uncommon.
Yeah.
That's what happens. And that in my opinion is one of the detriments of social media is the social media companies control the circulation. Going back to Facebook, you had mentioned that you have to pay to boost your posts.
Yeah.
And Facebook over the last probably decade has become almost purely pay to play.
Yeah.
Especially if you've got a business account set up, your posts will not be seen by anybody unless you're paying to play.
Yeah. Yep. So I feel I've done pretty well with social media because the amount of people that comment that see my posts, is crazy for me. It really is. And another septic hauler reached out to me yesterday and wants some advice on how I do my posts and what gives me ideas. And my husband looked at me and goes, "You're an influencer." And I'm like, "No, I'm not. No, I'm not." And he's like, "Well, no, other people are reaching out to ask you for advice on something that I thought it's something I started just to kind of be funny with poop."
Right. So you've got this following on social media now. Has that allowed you to scale back traditional advertising, or do you keep all those things status quo?
I keep it status quo. Our local newspaper, when I first started, really was cautious about putting anything, like our tagline is "We get shit done," but we have an asterisk for the I. They really did not want to get on board. And now monthly, we send each other ideas and we come up with funny local advertisement. Is your tank naughty or nice? Let us check it twice. We come up with funny stuff, so they're on board now too, which is really fun, because they get compliments about our ad. So
Well, it's interesting that you bring this up. This industry and advertising in general, because obviously I come from an advertising, with the Pumper magazine. I've been here 30 years, so I've
that's
seen
awesome.
this industry do a lot of things.
Yep.
And society's view on things that are dirty, even saying shit.
Yes.
These are things that I think back to my grandparents who are dead and gone for decades now.
Yeah.
They would have been appalled
Yes.
by this type of thing. But now you've got generations younger than I am, way younger than I am.
Yep.
It means nothing.
And
That's the vernacular. So
yeah, and that's kind of part of why so last year at the Wet Show, I did a silly video there calling it the Pumper Princess Award. And I really tried to, since February of last year, really push that septic is dirty, but you can have fun with it too. It doesn't need to be, ew, it's poop. Have fun. It's just another thing.
Yeah, and I think that every company has to take their own personal choice on what marketing strategy they want to take.
Yeah.
Now, do you want to be fun? Do you want to be professional? Do you want to be,
Yep.
And you can't, I think it's hard to mix all those things. You
It
can't
is.
in one sense say, have you been naughty or nice? Let's pump your system twice. And
Yeah.
in the same sentence say, we're the most professional pumpers in New Hampshire. I mean, you can't, but you took your route.
Yeah.
And not that you're not professional. So, I mean, let me go backwards.
Yeah.
I can't say that. I guess I'm saying there's companies that would just never take that advertising methodology.
Yep.
You know what I mean? You can still
Yeah.
be professional and do that. So I
Yes.
think I kind of said something there that really wasn't my intent.
No. And
But-
that is my goal and so I did something out of my wheelhouse. I went to something called the Powerhouse Women Conference out in Phoenix. Because I wanted to make sure that I was still keeping my business module and myself professional. And I had more women rally around me who are business executives, bankers, doctors, and they were so blown away by how I was this, they saw my Facebook and they were more that I worked in the septic industry. This girl who worked in the septic industry cleaned up so well and was so professional. And so I think I've been able to keep both of those, that I am very funny, but I am also professional. And so I try to keep my TikToks funny. I upload those to my Facebook so people can still see the funny, but I also try to make my Facebook educational. I'll put in, what year was Septic Tanks built and who was the
I saw that
founder of
post.
Septic Tanks. Yeah, so I want to keep it both. And I want people to realize that is the kind of company we are. We are very professional, but my guys will also be joking on the side of the road because I want them to have fun. I want to be a fun. Nothing against septic haulers. There aren't a lot of fun ones out there. I want to be fun. I want to do poop differently.
So it's 2024 now, almost 2025.
Yep.
Like, are you anticipating more growth?
Yes.
Do you think you've kind of maybe hit the maximum? Like, where are you at?
No, so we're bringing on this 2026 Matt Granite with a 5,000 gallon tank, and my employee Ben that was brought on in April of this year is going through CDL school this winter, because we see the growth there. We're picking up a number of bigger associations, which take bigger trucks to be able to do and get them done in a normal amount of time or a good amount of time. I do see the gallonage growing. I'm not 100% sure yet what it will be. I'm also bringing in a mini excavator to make our septic inspections a little bit cleaner and a little bit quicker, because the granite up here is horrible to dig in and it can be miserable.
With all of this new equipment coming in, do you have an open line of credit? Are you leasing it? Are you cash flow wealthy enough that you can just, come in with a down payment and make a payment? How are you doing this?
Come in with a down payment and then make payments on it, put it on a regular loan. Yep. We have a credit union that we work really well with. So
a local credit union has been easy to work with, and you're just basically financing all your new equipment.
Yep.
Is cash flow a problem for your business?
No. Nope.
So you're able to you're able to bank the heavy season and get you through the winter season?
Exactly. Yep. That is completely our goal is we work our butts off, bank through the summer, spring and fall, and then that gets us through the winter.
At this point, are you profitable?
Yeah. I'm not sure 100%, because my husband helps me with those numbers, but yeah, we are.
You're paying yourself?
Not much. A little bit.
Well, welcome to the club.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, I am a lot of free labor.
So thinking into the future, 10, 15, 20 years from now, whatever that is, are you building this business for succession? Are you building it for acquisition for someone else? Or are you just basically building this as your occupation?
There's a lot there. I'm building it as my occupation right now. The haulers in my area are aging out. One's looking to sell, the other one's slowing down. So I look at it as my occupation right now, but I also look at it as I don't know if my son might want it someday. He's 19 right now, so he doesn't know what he's doing any day of the week. Maybe in 10 years, I want to sell it. Like I said, I'm also working on my bachelor's degree in forensic psychology. I don't know. Right now, it's what I'm doing and I love it and it's keeping me busy.
You seem like a live for the day type person. So it's tough to ask somebody like you, maybe, what is your succession, acquisition, occupation plan? Because I can just tell that you're a free spirit. So
yeah. And this allows me to having 2 employees now, and my husband. So I also play ice hockey, and this, especially in the wintertime, this gives me some time to travel and play the sports that I love to go. We do Europe twice a year. And so this gives me some freedom to do that too. So yeah, I don't know. I see us growing. I see my cap number is about 4 million gallons a year. So I have some big goals for myself, but I tend to go big with everything I do. 10,000 followers on TikTok was incredible. I can't believe I hit that. But yeah, I want to take over the poop world.
Check out Kim's social media posts on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, where she has just over 10,000 loyal followers and, in her words, puts the fun in pumping. Thank you for listening to the Pumper and Pro podcast. And please remember to subscribe and like this podcast to keep more great content coming.